Okay, nobody loves vampires more than Anne Rice, right? You notice the other two stories are very different. Like Blade is about killing vampires, right? Underworld is about the war with the vampires, their internal war. But Anne Rice is about being with the vampire or becoming a vampire, right? She's very intimate with vampires. She represents vampires in a completely different way. And I almost was like, you know what? Right? I seriously was that way, right? I seriously was that way. But then I'm going to tell you guys what happened, man. I'm going to tell you guys what happened, man, right? This is what got me back, man, right? Like, like I said, man, Brad Pitt, Brad Pitt obviously is a great actor, right? And everybody in this movie was premier acting. I think the story's pretty well done. I haven't read any Anne Rice books myself. I think my wife's got like all of them, right? But I haven't read any Anne Rice books myself, like ever. So that I can't really judge it by more than what I've seen in the movies. And I'm like, they're cool. They're very emotional. But what brought me back was this right here. This is what brought me back. And not for the reason that you guys are going to think. No, it's not because it's Aaliyah and she was hot. That's not it. All right, it's a little bit that. But it wasn't that, but it was some other stuff too. She's incredibly powerful. So in Anne Rice's version of vampires, I had to reconcile with the individual power of these vampires. And it seems like they're on a whole nother level based on what Akasha was able to do. She had pyrotechnic abilities. I think they could fly. She could just destroy people with like a flip of her hand. This was goddess level power. And I don't know if there's anything in Blade or Underworld that matches that. Like I like maybe the Blood God. Maybe in that brief time, if Deacon Frost could have manifested that Blood God, maybe. But other than that, I don't think, outside of Anne Rice's work, I don't think I've seen a more powerful vampire than Akasha. Right? I don't know that. And we've seen some pretty powerful vampires, and I'm open to the debate on it. I cannot recall any vampires more powerful than Akasha. And that's what brings me back to Anne Rice's world, where I have to reconcile this. But the thing about this, so this is Earth over a long history, right? There's a long period of time that goes on in her world. Akasha herself comes from an ancient time. Like there's a whole mythology written about Akasha, and she comes from ancient. We're gonna put her over here. Let's put Akasha over here. Yeah, she doesn't have to go anywhere. You stay right there, okay? So this whole time, like she's ancient all the way into modern times. Obviously, the 1800s was a big time. They loved that. 18th century New Orleans. She loved that period of time. Beautiful area, right? I've been out to New Orleans. You guys got to check this out. This is all about European cities, but it's modern times. The world just progresses, and the vampires are just like, yeah, whatever. They're not really like sucked up into it. You can see they go away for long periods of time. When Akasha came back, she was just blown away by how much the world had actually changed. And the vampires here, like they feel very intimate. It's very personal. They're almost isolated by their vampirism. Like they are the only ones or the first ones that have I've seen them treat vampirism as a curse in some regard, right? And a curse in some regard. And I gotta take the time to pull this out, man, right? Because oh man, let's see. I gotta pull this up, man. Okay, let's pull this up. This is where it gets kind of like they get into it, man. They actually get into it, right? Like it was crazy. I gotta pull this up, man. I'm sorry, bear with me, guys. I know I've been pulling up a lot of images today, but all images matter, right? Okay. So this is it right here. Okay, all right, this is it right here. All right, this is where it gets nutty because like this is I don't know the her name in the movie. This is Kirsten Dunst's character, and for her being turned into a vampire is a curse because she's like a kid. I'm a kid forever. I'm a kid forever. I live forever as a child, right? If I wanted to grow up, she never gets. So she is life stuck, is what she represents. In fact, like the overall theme was like, oh shit, it's boring to live for so long. That was the whole thing with these guys. That was the crux of the story. And then of course, like Lestat, like expresses all this to Christian Slater, the interviewer, and it becomes like he's telling this like amazing story of how this tragedy. You know how like, yeah, Brad Pitt was my boyfriend, and then like Antonio Banderas got into it or something, and then we all broke up. All of us broke up at the same time. So the rest of his life, he was sad about that until he discovered Akasha. And by then, it wasn't any good anymore. It was still Tom Cruise. And I don't know if Tom Cruise could have played that rock star part. I just don't know. I don't know. Outside of like, what was that? Like Risky Business. Like I would tell Tom Cruise, leave that dancing alone. I'm just telling this for you, Playboy. So the whole thing about this world is that this is the most supernatural of all these. That's one of the biggest differences. Where Blade sees it as more biology, Underworld, it's bloodline. They're species. They are specifically a species. They didn't teach you about this in high school, but it should have been in your biology class. That's what Underworld is, because the vampires and the Lycan, they exist. These are a species that diverge from each other. So this is 100% within the ecosystem. So they pitch this as they're normal to this ecosystem. And Blade doesn't necessarily, like, Blade's kind of a virus too. So I don't know. I'm not sure what he sees. He has Dracula. So I think he's still kind of saying it's supernatural, though he doesn't give us any supernatural. I mean, his origin, from what I understand about Blade, his origin would make me, the origin of the Blade verse, the vampires in that universe, would make me think that it was some type of supernatural event. Maybe, but I'm not sure on that one. So this is what it is. In this world, it's so supernatural because it draws on Enlil. This is old like mythology. It's actually like a demonic spirit. If you're not familiar, Akasha gets the initial vampire gets this one right here. In case you guys can't see her, it's Aaliyah right here, right? Just blow her up, just so you guys can see it, right? I just want you guys to be able to see this. Okay. All right. So she's the vampire queen, and the way it goes down is she was being killed and she was dying, and her soul was gonna escape her body. And Enlil, this demon, attaches itself to her. They bond. Now she's bonded with a demon, and they go back inside her body, and that's how she became a vampire. Which is why she has like godlike powers, because she's drawn on this demon, Enlil, yada yada yada. Now they exist in this form, right? So that's kind of how their origin starts. So their origin is far more supernatural than the others, and it plays out. So it's not as much scientists. You're kind of chill. You're supposed to be chosen or cursed in this world. That's kind of, because this is a lot, man. They do put a lot of thought into who they change into a vampire. They don't just willy-nilly be making vampires anymore. At least seem like they got there. Hey, look, you're creating more immortals. There's only so much money that can go around, right? Only so many people can buy up all the property in New York over a 123-year period. So they had to decide that. So they set out, so they keep it very thin. They're setting up franchises all over the place. Now, there's not any like formalized structure. It's kind of a bunch of loose connection among the vampires. Not necessarily a ruling class or a council. It's just power. Who has power and who can wield it and who's sharp. That's really what it is. The older you are, you tend to be more dangerous. But, look, you can get jumped. You can get that work just like anybody else. And we saw it. Akasha got jumped. She was the most powerful. Culturally, it's kind of a, aristocratic society. They like that. They like to dress nice. Akasha kind of turned it into like real nonsensical predatory behavior. That's just who she was, right? But overall, the world, they kind of, they're a threat to us, but they're not like trying to wipe us out or anything like that. So they're not going to try to put the blood god on us. So their conflict is very different, man. Their conflict is about what's going on in your head, loneliness, like disassociation, trying to find identity, morality, loneliness. All those things exist in this world. It's not a war-driven world. Their weakness, they're still very susceptible to sunlight. Other than that, man, we haven't seen a lot other than like magic, when they killed Akasha. So I guess they did use some weaponry on her. So that proved to work. She was able to be killed or had the spirit taken from her, whatever it was. So, that's kind of it. Humans are food here most of the time. Some of them become companions. They can even love you a little bit, right? But that's it. They don't just feed on humans. They kind of hold on to humans. So they're intuits too. And the theme of this is kind of like the burden of immortality. It's not the immortality is what really gets them. It's not necessarily the power, the control. It's what it means to live forever. So 3 very different worlds. And I'm telling you guys right now, like picking the one you choose to roll with, man, if I gotta look at them, if I look at the nature of them, Blade is biology, right? If I gotta look at who you guys are, if I have to navigate this world, what world do I choose, right? Let me get rid of this young image of Kirsten Dunst, who did a great job in this movie, by the way. Excellent job in this movie, by the way. It's a great film. She really expressed her character's intent very well. So if I'm looking at this world, Blade's world, they're a biological virus. Underworld